Hello, I'm Mike Szostkiewicz, and today is January 27th, 2026. This video is submitted in fulfillment of Park University's MIS605 Management Information Systems course, Unit 3 discussion, which includes chapters 5 and 6 in our textbook, Networking and Communication and Information Systems Security. So, chapter 5 is Networking and Communication. Okay, so imagine trying to use a computer today without the internet. Hard to picture, right? So, this chapter explains how we got from isolated machines to fully connected world that we rely on today. It starts in the 1960s when the US government created ARPANET to link research computers across the country. So, ARPANET was the very first version of the internet, the network that started it all. It was created in 1969 by the US government's Advanced Research Projects Agency, or ARPA, back during the Cold War. The goal was simple but groundbreaking: connect distant computers so that researchers could share information and keep communication running even if part of the network was damaged. That early network eventually grew into the internet thanks to a breakthrough called TCP/IP, which allowed different networks to talk to each other. So, a little bit of computer nerd jargon here. So, TCP/IP is the foundational communication system that makes the internet work. A clean way to think about it, so TCP/IP is two protocols working together to move data reliably across networks. So the TCP part of it, transmission control protocol, so that breaks information down into smaller packets or groups of information. That ensures every packet arrives in order without errors. And if something gets lost, TCP then resends it. So think of it as a reliable delivery service part of the system. So the other part, the IP, the Internet Protocol, that handles addressing and routing, kind of like the old snail mail. So every device gets an IP address, no matter if it's a cell phone, a computer, iPad. That IP address figures out how to get the packets from point A to point B. So the Internet Protocol, that's basically the GPS and the road system of the Internet. So together, TCP makes up the data that is correct and complete, and the IP makes sure that it gets transmitted to the right destination. So without TCP/IP, networks couldn't talk to each other, and the modern internet simply would not exist. So in 1990, the World Wide Web transformed the internet from a technical tool into something anyone could navigate. Browsers like Mosaic and Netscape made it visual, clickable, and accessible. So as more people came online, we saw the dot-com boom, the crash, and then the rise of Web 2.0 platforms like blogs, Wikipedia, Facebook, and Twitter that everyday users create content instead of just consuming it. So this chapter also highlights the shift from slow dial-up to broadband, which made rich media streaming and cloud computing possible. So some of us Gen Xers remember the old modems clicking and dialing away back on America Online. So pretty much now everything's at your fingertips. So wireless technologies like Wi-Fi and mobile data networks and Bluetooth untethered us from desks and cables, while voice over IP showed that even phone calls could be moved across the internet. So inside organizations, networking evolved too. Local area networks connected office computers, client server systems, centralized applications, and intranets and extranets helped companies share information securely with employees, customers, and partners. And cloud computing pushed this even further by moving storage and software onto the internet. So the big idea, tying it all together, is Metcalfe's law. And that states that networks become more valuable as more people join them. And today, that value is everywhere, from the way we work to the way we communicate, collaborate, and share information across the globe. So, Chapter 6 deals with information systems security, which is a whole field unto itself. So, summarily, when you think about how much our lives run on technology today, it's no surprise that keeping our information safe has become a huge deal. So, Chapter 6 breaks down the information, that what it really means, starting with the basics. So, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So in simple terms, we want to keep private information private and make sure that it hasn't been tampered with and ensure that it's there when we need it. So from there, Chapter 6 walks through the tools organizations use to stay secure. And authentication is the first line of defense, proving that you are who you say you are. So sometimes a password, sometimes that's a code sent to your phone, and sometimes it's actually biometric, so little fingerprint. Okay. So then there's access control, which basically deciding who gets to see what information. And encryption protects data while it's being stored or sent so that even if somebody grabs it, they can't read it. So chapter 6 also reminds us that security isn't just digital. Companies need backups, firewalls, and intrusion detection systems, but they also need locked doors, cameras, and policies that guide how employees use technology. And with everyone carrying smartphones and tablets, mobile security has become its own challenge, especially when devices get lost or stolen. Finally, chapter 6 brings us the focus back to us as individuals. While we all play a part in staying secure, keeping software updated using antivirus tools, being careful on public Wi Fi, backing up our files, turning on two-factor authentication, and avoiding sketchy links or attachments. So, the big takeaway is that security isn't just one thing, it's a combination of smart tools, good habits, and a little bit of awareness. Okay. And in a world where everything is connected, that matters even more now than ever. So, this week's discussion for my current event or business article, I selected one from the Information Security Magazine, published yesterday, 26 January 2026, centering on vishing attacks. That's with a V and not a PH. Vishing attacks or voice based phishing. So, the link to the article is posted in the description. So, summarily, over the past few months, businesses have been dealing with a new kind of cybersecurity threat that's been getting a lot of attention. So, Okta, OKTA, is one of the biggest identity management companies in the world. So, they recently warned organizations about a surge in highly customized phishing attacks. That's voice based phishing. And what makes these attacks different is how personal and reactive they are. So attackers actually call employees pretending to be IT support and then generate fake login pages in real time to trick people into handing over their passwords and even their multi-factor authentication codes. This is a big deal because Okta sits at the center of identity and access for thousands of companies. If attackers can bypass MFA or multi-factor authentication by manipulating people directly, then they can potentially get into corporate networks, steal data, or take over accounts without ever breaking through a technical barrier. It's a reminder that even the strongest security tools can fail if the human side isn't protected. So for businesses, the impact is clear. They need strong verification procedures for help desk interactions, better employee training, and in some cases, more advanced forms of MFA like hardware security keys that can't be phished. It also highlights a broader trend. Cyber criminals are shifting from purely technical attacks to social engineering strategies that exploit trust, urgency, and confusion. So the takeaway from this article is simple. Cybersecurity isn't just about firewalls and encryption anymore. It's about people, and as attackers get more creative, organizations need to stay just as adaptive to keep their networks and data safe. So the title of this article was Okta Flags Customized Reactive Phishing Attacks Which Bypass MFA. And the link is from the Info Security Magazine. It was published by D. Palmer on 26 January 2026. So, a little personal story I can relate to this is that in my organization, I work for Pasco County here in Florida, and our IT department often sends out test emails. And it looks very official. It even comes from our IT department, but they embed a link for you to click. So you hover over the link and it shows like oldmcdonaldhadafarm.com or something like that. So a lot of these phishing attempts look extremely, extremely professional, legit. And so the cyber criminals are getting more and more bold every day, and especially even from within your own organization. So what happens is, as a supervisor, when my people fail the phishing attempt, then pretty much everybody has to go through training again, computer awareness, security awareness. So especially in a business organization, hacking attacks, hackers are getting more creative every day. So I certainly enjoyed this week's discussion, and I hope you did too. Thanks.